So here's a part two answering this question where he says, instead of bashing everyone advocating for fathers in this struggle, we should unite, or James, you should unite and fill the gaps for what's missing in each other's information. Well, the other reason why I don't do that is because I've already tried. I DM'd the 50-50 dad guy when he had like 50,000 followers on Instagram. I said, hey, are you reaching out to help fathers, or are you just telling tragic stories of fathers or creating awareness? He goes, I'm doing awareness, but I help fathers when I can. I said, well, I've won in court and helped thousands of guys win in court. And I have a bunch of solutions, because the guy didn't ever show one single solution on his page. So he's full of crap when he told me that. Maybe he talks to dads off the record, but I threw it out there that this is what I do. The guy totally ignored me after that, because he doesn't want to help dads. It's too hard. He'd rather just sit there and whine, cry, piss, and moan. Again, Eric Carroll, Dad Talk Today. Every single video, loser, whining, crying. Dads lose all the time. We can't win. I said, hey, dude, why don't you have some like winning stories of dads winning to encourage dads? Because if all you have is negative stories, you're just feeding into the hopelessness. Blocks me. All these dads are cursed with, they have the curse of SIMP and PUSSY, and the Jezebel spell is all over them. They don't want to stand up for anything. They just want to whine, cry, and piss and moan and capitalize on the misery of fathers, and won't give them any solutions or answers, and they're not looking for them because they're hopeless themselves because they lost in court, or they had that 50-50 dad. I assume that guy's got 50-50 custody. He never talks about how he did it. He probably had a mother who just was agreeable. And he sees all these dads, so he's like, oh, let me capitalize on this. Or maybe he's just talking about 50. I have no idea what he's talking about. All he does is whine and cry and piss and moan. Then you got fathers are important. Those guys reach out to me, wanting to have me on an Instagram live. I woke up at like 7 or 8 in the morning to be a part of it. They were a no-show. Flakes. Then a few months later, they DM me and say, what do you think about this and what do you think about that? Well, I said, why are you asking me now? You were a no-show. You had me wake up early in the morning because you're on the East Coast. And you didn't have the common courtesy. You asked me on your show and had me all scheduled and stuff. And then he's like, sorry, and then ignored me. Never said anything after that. None of these I've already done my part over and over and over and over again. When I was with Dads Against Discrimination, when we get together and do something, or the other parent in Washington, we get together and do something. Guys would show up for one protest or one event, and then they'd never show up again because they wanted to come there and have somebody else rescue and save them. That Fathers Matter 247, his post kept popping up in my Facebook feed. I got on there, and dads were saying all this hopeless stuff. I don't know what to do. I can't win. I don't know where to go. And the Fathers Matter 247 guy, he doesn't give a flying ish whether his followers are hopeless and don't know any answers, because he doesn't have any answers. He doesn't want to give them to them because he's getting his rocks off with all the following. What's the whole point of you spreading awareness if your awareness isn't doing jack crap? So I reached out to him. I said, hey, just so you know, I put some comments. I put some of my videos and links to answers to people in the comments and answer them. I kind of jumped in there, so I thought I'd let you know. But, I help dads win in court. Looks like you got a big following and all of your followers are totally hopeless and lost. Didn't hear from him. I've already tried this stuff. I've been part of fathers' rights movement groups, or I've been the one in Washington. There was a kid that was in charge like 2012, and he got so orgasmically aroused when he got in front of the legislature, and he's posing, he's wearing suits and ties and all this other stuff. And he's like, no, James, we can't fight for custody. We can't be aggressive. We have to work with these people in peace. And I said, dude, at that point, I was like, I've been doing this 10 years. There is no peace in negotiating with terrorists and stuff. You got to go to war. And now the father's rights guy in Ohio, or the main leader, now he's on there saying that family court is a war. But they weren't saying that 10, 15 years ago. Now that those guys get their asses handed to them left and right, now they're like, oh, maybe it is a war. But back then, they hated my guts. And they're like, oh, James is that guy who brags about getting custody and he craps on us. Guys go in the comments, say, don't do contempt, that's aggressive. Don't get on the offensive. Don't talk bad about the mom. Keep a diary. Just keep it to yourself and be quiet for a year and then show up at trial and say, hey, she's in contempt. They're like, why didn't you do it 5 months ago if you actually cared? And all these dads attacking me are not seeing their kids at all ever or every other weekend dads. You would think they would say, wow, you got custody? What did you do? Or when I give a piece of information, they say, wow, that sounds like a good idea. That seems harsh, but how does that work? Nope. Egos mixed with feminine emotions with these dads who lost in court because they were punk simps who got henpecked and checked and punked by the moms. So then they're still got that mentality. They still got a slave mentality with their baby's mom. And then I come along and say, stand up, be a man, be a warrior. They don't like that. Because there's some deballed feminine, but they want to fight me. They'll get all tough with me and fight with me, and I'm sitting there giving people answers because they don't like my answers because it hurts their butthurt feelings. Because when they compare themselves to the effort I put forward, when I didn't have half the information they did, they realized they have to confront the fact that they're being a PUSSY, and they don't like that. And I don't even bring that stuff up at first. I just say, why aren't you doing a contempt? Why? Oh, that's aggressive, and they jump on my stuff. The Father's Rights Movement group in Idaho had a dad on there saying, I don't want to give my daughter back to the mom. Her boyfriend's molested my daughter. And this dad from the Father's Rights Movement in Idaho, so this guy is telling me, why don't you get along with them, working with them and fill in the gaps? Because they're advising guys to hand their kids over to child molesters. Why would I work with somebody like that? Oh, are you guys approving of child molesters? And you guys get mad at me because I raise my voice over stuff like child molestation. What the F is wrong with you? Are you sick in the head? The Father's Rights Movement Idaho had a page, like a lot of them do, where losers come on there and give loser advice to dads who are losing. It's a cesspool of losers. So when this Father's Rights Movement commentator or advocate or guy who ran the page says you have to give the kid back, the law says you have to, or you could go to jail, I said, what law are you talking about? And it took him 20 to 30 minutes, and he finally dug up the law, and then he shared the link. And then I went, and I didn't just read the headline, gross misdemeanor for withholding a child or custodial interference. I didn't just read the headline. I actually read the law. And it said that you could get in trouble if you withhold a child when there's a court order, blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. There's like 4 lines. The last line says, unless you're doing it to protect the safety of the child. So the very law, listen very carefully, a father's rights advocate or guy on the Idaho Father's Rights page said, hand your kid back to the mom even though your daughter's getting molested because you could get in trouble. First of all, I'm willing to get in trouble to rescue my daughter from a child molester. That's what being a SIMP, being a PUSSY does to you. And everybody, all of them, 50-50 Dad Talk Today, Eric Carroll, the Father's Rights Movement, Mark Ludwig, the Texas Penal 25.03 dad. He has something popped up in my feed say, hey, if you're pro se representing yourself, you're going to lose because they don't like you. You will lose 100%. I said, dude, I got full custody of my daughter without an attorney. I've had thousands of guys win. You're lying. And then he attacks me personally. So there's this infight. We're supposed to be on the same team, and he's attacking me. Why? Because he's a biatch ass crybaby who lost and doesn't like somebody calling him out when he lies. He should have said, well, that's just my experience, and I keep seeing people lose. And I say, my experience is people win. Let's get together. But no, immediate attacks, just like a crazy baby's mom. All these guys are feminine men who are running a group, just whining and crying and sharing all these stories so everybody can commiserate and be depressed together and whine, cry, and piss and moan. I don't want to be part of a cesspool like that, especially when I reach out to all of them. And they're giving advice saying, give your kid back to a pedophile. The law says you have to. And the dad who said that obviously only read the headline of the law and didn't read the law, and he's giving bad legal advice to somebody in there and risking his child's, hopefully I think I got booted out after I said that. I'm sitting here saving a guy from getting his kid molested because somebody's giving him bad advice, and I get booted out of that group. These are the groups I don't give a ish about because I'm helping dads win, and they're running around whining, crying, pissing, and moaning, stealing people's videos and